Mira and HarlequinAudio present The Talk of Coyote Canyon by Brenda Novak, performed by Amy Mcfadden. As we were just coming out of COVID, my mother was diagnosed with dementia. A scammer had drained her bank account, stole over $50,000, and she could no longer care for herself. So I had to take over as guardian, even though she was hostile, living in a different state, and absolutely insistent that she didn't want or need my help, which meant a lawyer had to be involved. As I battled to make sure she got the care she needed, she kept trying to send the scammer more money, thinking she'd won some kind of sweepstakes he was going to bring her if only I wasn't standing in the way. And the land she owned was going through an adjudication, which was something she was unaware of and I was completely unfamiliar with. By the time I was legally able to jump in to try to save her water rights, it was almost too late. Then the neighbor, a preacher, no less, locked me out of the well, which forced me to spend a great deal of money to drill a new one because there wasn't time to go to court to enforce our easement. I had to miss my anniversary trip to Hawaii, which was already paid for, so my family went without me, and spend an entire month in a motel room in another state trying to fix an almost impossible problem while struggling to keep up with my already pressing deadlines. And then, before I could write the end on this story, my stepfather passed away, and my mother soon followed, on the heels of my father-in-law's passing, so I lost 3 parents within the same year. A period like that definitely shows you the best and worst of human nature. The people I dealt with were total strangers. They had no reason to be sympathetic, and most weren't. But there were a few rare, exceptional individuals who showed me some kindness and compassion when it mattered most. They are the ones who pulled me through, and this book is for them. 1. Hendrix Durrant eyed his longtime neighbor, speaking with a hard-edged frustration he didn't bother to conceal.
"You're hiring Ellen. Really, Jay? You've been talking to me about getting this well dug for the past 8 months. You've had me meet you out here 2 or 3 times for details on where to drill, how deep to go, what size pump you'll need to get enough water, what we'll do if we encounter sand, and on and on. And now you're going with my competitor?"
Jay Haslam, a 40-something mechanic who was finally getting the chance to build a nicer home outside the small town of Coyote Canyon, Montana, where Hendrix had lived since he was 11 and Jay had lived his whole life, shoved his hands in the pockets of his grease-stained overalls and stared down at the dirt.
"Well, she's not really your competitor, is she?"
Hendrix rested his hands on his hips.
"She does the same thing I do, but her business is completely separate from mine. Wouldn't you call that competition?" "Yeah, but she's Stuart's daughter, and he's married to your Aunt Lynn. I know you're not related, but you're sort of connected, right?"
He offered Hendrix a weak grin, which Hendrix immediately wiped from his face with a heated retort.
"Not only are we not related, I barely know her and hate that she moved to town 2.5 years ago, because ever since then, she's made a concerted effort to become a major pain in my ass. It's just that her dad's married to your aunt,"
Jay said again. Lynn had raised Hendrix from the first year she married Stuart after his mother died of breast cancer. Everyone knew he'd been taken in out of the goodness of her heart, that he would have gone into the foster care system otherwise. It wasn't as if he had a father, like most other kids. His mother, Angie, who'd lived and worked as a venture capital analyst in San Francisco, where attitudes were more liberal in general, had been so determined to have a child on her own terms, she'd used a sperm bank, never imagining what might happen to him if she wasn't around. That meant, once she was gone, he'd been lucky to have extended family who would give him a home.
"I don't care. That doesn't
Sample complete. Ready to continue?